on this episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists.
We are in a tsunami of change right now. I know AI is bringing a tsunami of change to a lot of things, and you probably know a lot about them clinically, but we really need to pay attention to what's going on with our overall online visibility. So AI is looking at your website. It's looking at very importantly, at your online reviews, and it's also looking at your social media presence. And so you need to make sure all those dentists that were skeptical or disliking social media over the years, now's your time to really get on board and pay attention with social media. Things are changing on a practically daily basis. What I don't think is going to change is the fact that it is prioritizing authenticity, that it is prioritizing trust. It wants to see that you're a good person.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists podcast, episode number 492. I'm your host, Andrew Johnston, and thank you so much for spending time with us yet again today. Folks, we have another interesting episode for you. This is going to be about the impact of AI. And I think that when we normally, see courses or talk about it with our friends about the impact that AI has on dentistry, we normally come at it from a clinical perspective, right? We think about, how is this going to speed up our notes or, help us with perio charting. Even the interpretation of radiographs is a huge component of AI clinically. But in this episode, Jackie and I catch up with Rita Zamora. And if you don't know Rita is widely regarded as a top expert in reputation management for dental offices. She knows all sorts of things about social media and all of that. And she helps us see a completely different side of what this AI evolution will do for dental practices. And I think it's important for us to know all of this because, and I don't want to step over the interview too much, but AI is going to be looking at all facets of our online life. And that's including the lives of the employees, not just the owner doctors. And they're going to be promoting very particular characteristics based on the data that is compiled. So when a potential patient does a search, all of that data is going to be compiled into an AI response. And Rita breaks that down pretty darn well about what else that could be impacting. And you think about things like hiring practices, right? It's going to be so much different when people are going to be looking for hygienists. What can they bring to the practice based on what AI is going to be producing for them? What will it look like for side gigs for the hygienist? What is it going to look like based on your reputation, how you conduct yourselves online? What is AI going to take and translate that into the office culture? And promoting that to the patients or the prospective patients, I should say. Super interesting thoughts that Rita brings. So a huge thank you to her for this new angle and her expertise. Be sure to reach out to her if you have any thoughts or any questions about this, because this is definitely not something that Jackie and I really understand too much, but she is the expert. So go ahead and reach out to her. One last thing before I throw the interview. I know there are ads running this month about RDH under one roof. And I think in the ads, I say it's something about 1,500 attendees or 1,600 attendees that have registered. Actually, at the time of this recording, there's now about 2,000 registrants, which means that hotel spaces are going to be incredibly limited at the Gaylord and courses are filling up. We do have contracted agreements with other hotels close by. If you need information on that, it's rdhunderoneroof.com. There's a hotels section. But I say all that to say, if you haven't registered, you really need to get on it because it's a month away from the release of this episode. So I hope to see you all there. And with that, on to the interview with Rita Zamora.
Tale of two hygienists.
Listeners, welcome to the interview portion of the podcast. Joined today by Rita. Rita, thanks for being here.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
So the topic we're going to talk about today is AI. And I feel like as we get into it, I'm hoping that we can discover something that's a little bit different than just our clinical focus. But before we get into all of that, do you mind just giving our audience a quick bio of who you are and what you do in the dental space?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really important. A lot of times, because I am known for my work in social media and dentistry, people think I'm a marketer who just woke up one day and decided to target dentists. So I consider myself a dental lifer. I worked in a practice, a perio practice for about 15 years, actually. Started with 3 team members and 1 periodontist. And by the time I left, we had 5 periodontists and over 20 team members and multiple locations. So I got to know a lot about the ins and outs of not only a specialty practice, but building relationships with general dentists, marketing, all the things. So um, that's kind of my story.
No, I love it because I think that kind of gives you kind of a different finger on the pulse of the industry. It's something that's maybe a little bit more unique than what a lot of us have. In your actually, can we talk about that growth for a minute? Because I do want to talk about like your opinion of the dentist for like how are they viewing marketing and social media for their practices? I feel like for a long time it's always been like get searchable on Google and be findable on Facebook. And that's all I really ever heard. Is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different opinions out there. There's still a portion of the population and our population of dentists and specialists that dislike social media, that are like, I don't really need it. I think it's a waste of time, and then there's others that are evangelists and they're like, this has been incredible for my visibility and for bringing new patients in. But we are in a tsunami of change right now. I know AI is bringing a tsunami of change to a lot of things, and you probably know a lot about them clinically, but we really need to pay attention to what's going on with our overall online visibility. And so this applies to every dentist, every specialist, everyone who's interested in their visibility, because we've really not since the days of AOL, which I can say I remember, when we were introduced to the internet, which seems like really pioneer days at this point. But AI is bringing a change at that level where everything is going to be different. And for a long, long time, it's been about being found at the top of a Google search. So dentists have invested a lot of money. A lot of dentists have just pulled out their hair trying to figure out how can we get to the top of Google search. And as you know, there's been a few spots at the top of Google search. It has been tricky or expensive to get found in those spaces. And now you're competing also with Google ads. And so we have this new player in the game now, AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Perplexity, there's Grok, whatever your AI of choice is competing with Google. And it's a very small percentage that they've stolen from Google so far, but we expect that to increase significantly over the course of the next year. Whereas it's not about being found on Google, it's really more about how can we get found by AI and get recommended by AI.
Is so in this context, is like for someone who's never used ChatGPT, who's tried to maybe I think 2 years ago, we tried to, like, just dabble in it a little bit to try and be silly, but then I was like, "This is just not for me." Is it search engine-y, based? So, for example, instead of going to Google to do a search, you would just search within ChatGPT? It's not about writing my school papers?
Right. I heard a really good analogy lately, and the difference is if you're doing a Google search, that would be like going to the library and getting served up a bunch of books on whatever topic it is that you want. Using AI like ChatGPT is like going to the library and having an assistant that's going to tell you what all of these different books say and give you the exact answer that you need and have a conversation with you to delve deeper into it. So it's saving you a considerable amount of time. You don't have to go into all those different books to get your information and then try and put together the pieces to get your answer. So hopefully that helps explain it a little bit better.
I mean, that just sounds like you're cheating at life. It sounds so darn easy. Well, how does that then I mean, I'm trying to think of like, okay, well, then how does one office game the system then with like a chat GPT? Like, how do you I mean, you're not buying ads trying to get to the top anymore. What does that look like?
Yeah, the really cool thing that excites me is that it's not gonna be about gaming the system or who has the biggest budget. Those days are gonna be gone. What's gonna matter in the future is really the new currency is trust, and it's gonna matter what AI thinks about you, very similarly to the way patients are judging you today. So AI is looking at your website, it's looking at your, very importantly, at your online reviews, and it's also looking at your social media presence. And so you need to make sure all those dentists that were skeptical or disliking social media over the years, now's your time to really get on board and pay attention with social media, because you need to make sure that you have information out there that the AI likes. If it's between you and another dentist and all things are equal, but your social media is really robust, it's current, you've got a lot of photos of the team, of your practice, you're more likely to get recommended by the AI.
So AI has a judgment factor.
It
Well, and that's what I'm trying to think of.
does.
There's still gotta be a competitive advantage somewhere along these judgment factors. I mean, for example, like you mentioned, like taking a picture of the team. If I'm I don't know why I'm trying I keep saying game the system. I'm not trying to game the system, but I really am trying to get a competitive advantage because if
Yes.
it's my office, like, well, then maybe I need to take more pictures of my team now, get them up on social media so it looks like we've been doing this for a really long time. I mean, I'm trying to get ahead of all of this rather than trying to be, like, retroactive, and the doctors that have had, blogs for, since 2005 or whatever, like, are they gonna then have a leg up because there's more volume to their
History.
work as opposed to quality of work?
Yeah, so let me give you a checklist of items. Number one, when it comes to your website, you need to make sure that the LLMs, AI can read your website, that it's AI friendly, if you will. Some blogs, for example, I've been blogging for 16 years. And when I ask the AI to scan my blogs, it can't read a lot of my blogs. When you think about all the blogs that are out there is so much information. There are formatting things that you can do to your blogs to make it more reader friendly for humans and for AI. So you want to make sure that you're working with a website provider that's obsessed with AI right now so that they make sure that your website is AI friendly. So that's one of the first things to do. Second of all, and hopefully a lot of dentists I know have already been working hard at getting good reviews. You want to continue to get current reviews because that weighs very heavily in the AI's evaluation of you and your practice. And then, thirdly, with your social media, you have to stop using stock photos if you have been. What it's looking for are videos, photos, like I said, of you and the team, comments, engagement from people saying, "This team is amazing," or "I had my dental implants done here, highly recommend," that sort of thing. There's no more gaming, if you will. And that's what I find so exciting because, I mean, it's been torturous for dentists over the last decades, really trying to, pour all this money into something where Google's changed the algorithm constantly. And
Mhm,
so,
mhm.
you were able to kind of game the system in the past, but now it's really about authenticity and trust.
I
It
love
truly
that.
is.
I know, I love that too, and I bet I think there's gonna be some unintended consequences for the dental team, right? So, I think that the owner, the practice owner, whether it's dentist or whoever, is gonna then be a little bit more invested in keeping their team around, right? Because if it's I have a feeling that AI is gonna be like, "Hmm, these are new team members every 3 months on their photos.
Right?
They can't keep somebody. So, there must be something inherently wrong with this practice." Or if the team members aren't also posting on their social media about how great of a place it is to work at this place, I feel like the ones that do that will have a little bit of a kinda leg up because it's so multifactorial that I think that, like, the bots have the time to scan all of those things, but the humans maybe wouldn't have that. And so, like, the people
And
that are doing it right are gonna be rewarded in all of the right ways, and that's exciting for me.
yeah, it truly is, trust is the new currency. So it's going to put all those pieces together and read those nuances.
Are the different AI programs, is it apples to apples? Like, if I ask this ChatGPT thing, I ask, we say Gronk or whatever the other one was.
Grok.
Gronk. Oh, Gronk is a football player. Sorry, Gronk. But come on the show if you wanna come on the show. Grok, if you, like, are they gonna have the same results? Like, are they all searching the same way, or is there differences between the different programs?
There's going to be slight differences depending on the prompts, the questions that you ask it. And also, I think now is the time to start having conversations with these different AI about your practice, because it's going to pay attention and read your website or your reviews or your social media. So you want to start, I would say, not even gaming, but preparing and doing everything that you can is to start introducing yourself and your practice to AI. Just saying, hey, this is who I am. Can you tell me if you can read this about my practice? Or, what is the perception of my practice when it comes to whatever it is you want to be known for, dental implants, clear aligners, sleep dentistry, what have you. That's certainly not going to hurt when you think about the volume of information that's out there that it's going to need to read.
So I think a lot of people right now are using AI to help create like the blog post, create, some things on their websites and things like that. So will there end up being some sort of a bias whether your website is AI generated versus whether it's I speak I write the way I speak, which is very convoluted and very kind of weird. As long as AI can read it, I'm fine. But like, is there going to end up being like a chat GPT doesn't like this because it was Grok that made this website? Is there going to be some sort of competitive thing there, you think?
Potentially. I mean, I think right now what it's prioritizing is it wants that authenticity, that uniqueness, that humanness. So it wants you to write in a language that sounds human and unique to you. So I think, if you have a website that's the same language, this exact same verbiage as 20,000 other sites, hopefully you have some photos and video and other items on your website that's going to help you to stand out because it does prioritize, from what I can tell, those visuals as well, particularly on social media. I haven't found that it really pays particular attention to the caption. There's certain keywords that it could pick up on, but it's really looking at, do you have stock photos versus real photos versus
Mhm.
video? So,
Well, I definitely have uniqueness. I just don't have the humanity part when I write.
Well,
I'm a robot when I write.
so I have a question for you, and you may have just answered it. A lot of the content for our magazines, for Dental Economics and RDH, we screen it to make sure it's not AI generated. It is authentic. So that is benefiting us by making it authentic. Okay.
great.
Now I
Yeah.
know what to tell authors when they get upset when they say, "Well, AI said it was okay." And I'm like, "Oh, well, okay. Well, that now I have my justification."
Yeah, and I mean, we also have to know that things are changing on a practically daily basis. What I don't think is going to change is the fact that it is prioritizing authenticity, that it is prioritizing trust. It wants to see that you're a good person, and it's going to be looking at all of these different points. So, like you said, Andrea, I think this comes back full circle to your team, your culture, making sure that you're able to hold on to people. Like, you want to be seen as a good person. And in order to do that, you really have to be a good person at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah.
What does the market look like for people kind of, so I'm trying to think like if there's a multi-location practice that wants to kind of get ahead of all of this, right? Are there a lot of people already in this space being like, "Hey, I'm the expert for marketing and social media and being, optimizing for AI for practices," or is this still like a vacuum that people can move into?
Is definitely new. I have been paying attention to what's going on in the SEO world because everyone's kind of like, whoa, what's happening? There's all kinds of change that's coming along. I just listened to an interview recently with the CEO of Google, and they're in the midst of change and don't know exactly what things are going to look like for them even at the end of the year. Is
Mhm.
this the beginning of the demise of the way we've always seen Google? I mean, it's still certainly king today. However, change is definitely at its heels. And so I think if you want to get ahead, just looking at those key pieces, like I said, your website, your online listings, which we have, hundreds of bits of information about your practice out there when you think about like health grades and Yelp and online yellow pages and all those different your Google business profile, making sure that all that information's accurate. Like I said, making sure that your web provider is obsessed with AI right now. Not It's not the time to be dabbling in it or be an expert in one specific area. You need to keep up with all of the changes that are coming out. and, really pay attention to your social media and make sure that you have a lot of humans in the pictures and the video, and hopefully you're getting some engagement too, some comments.
Were they I think I thought I saw a headline somewhere that basically was saying, and this might have been from that same, interview that you listened to, but that basically SEO is dead. Like, it is currently as of, the time of the posting of the article that it's like, this is not even a thing anymore. Well, I say if that's the case, then I wonder what your thoughts are on still, like, AI is still doing this web crawling thing, right? So is there a benefit still then to get on other people's podcasts and, to be a co-author on a blog, to be put into the magazines? I mean, is that still a strategy that people should be looking at?
Yes, that's an excellent question, actually. And I do want to say and emphasize that if you are at the top of Google, great, stay there. That's not going to hurt you in the AI's evaluation of you and their potential recommendation. That's a great thing to bring along, but it's also looking at those authoritative citations. So if you have other big publishers or popular podcasts or comments and engagement with influencers in your space, all of that is going to weigh very heavily in your favor. So you can definitely continue to build your reputation in those methods as well.
I like how you said influencers. I just had a thought that there's kind of a couple different types of influencers, right? There's the influencer that is like their authentic self, the one that actually is, um, Jackie, I think of like Barbara Tritz, and I know she's not like an influencer in the same way that we think of influencers, but like she's always posting her videos, her microscopy microscopes, her microscope videos of all the bacteria, and she's like, "Hey, this is what's happening here," and it's so unique what she's posting,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. But then there's also the aggregator influencers. It's the ones that are like, "I'm gonna compile other people's work, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and just talk about it." I'm wondering if there's gonna be a change in our influencer, I don't know, I say hierarchy, but like our the popularity of certain influencers because of the availability of this, like, aggregation that's already happening currently.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it recognizes authenticity.
Yeah, right, I mean, and the same thing for the magazines, like, you're already screening for these aggregator people that are,
Yeah.
taking the work from robots. So
Yeah, yeah, it's kinda
Yeah.
crazy what's coming out. I just saw, recently it was a dentist that posted, and she had an AI video of herself. It was using her likeness, and I can't remember what the AI tool was, but I can find it if you wanna put it in your show notes, and I think we're gonna see a lot more of this. Clearly, you could tell it was kind of robot-y, you could kinda tell that it's not a real human, but I think that we're gonna see, more and more. I've heard things like pop-up concerts or someone that is doing, obviously, I think our live programs are still going to be incredibly popular because people want to see, these are real people, these smaller um, study clubs and networking events and things like that. So I think as we are introducing more and more opportunities and more changes through AI, those human connections are going to become even more important. And that authenticity is going to become more important because people want proof that you're a real person,
Mhm.
that you're not just an AI generated creator.
I heard an interesting comment the other day that the younger generation, and I'm talking about the junior high kids right now, are all about authentic self. They're not enjoying the social media and all of this stuff anymore. They want to actually spend time with real people. So it'll be interesting to see what the next generation brings forward, whether they embrace this or not. And it sounds like they're not going to.
Yeah, I mean, and time will tell
Yeah.
because if a social media presence of some kind is important for AI to recognize us, whether it's for business purposes or if you are working for a nonprofit or for whatever it is that you're trying to gain attention for, we'll have to see how that evolves.
Well, you've just helped me figure out how to drop off the grid when I retire. So thank you.
Uh, yeah, all right, we're kinda coming up towards the end here, but I was wondering more about we talked about a lot about uniqueness, authenticity, things like that, but is there also a gauge for I mean, I'm not really thinking about the dental practices at this time. I'm just kind of thinking just like in general of being like recognized or whatever. Again, if you want to be a popular podcaster or whatever, there are some that are just out there for controversy, that are out there that are negative people, that are sarcastic people. How is the AI going to be able to differentiate between maybe popularity and like the goodness of humanity? Is there going to be any sort of ranking system that you've heard of, or I'm just trying to think of like emotion, like the emotion side of it.
Yeah, I definitely I wouldn't say it's a ranking, but when you start to use these tools enough, you can start to see that it's going to give you both sides of the story as much as possible. So it's not been that I've seen in my experience giving you biased information that's just the answer that you want to get, but it's telling you, here's this, but it could also be this. So I think that you're not going to fool it. And again, it depends on who is it that's searching for this information, the prompts that they're entering. So I definitely think it's working. I'm trying to believe that it's really working for the greater good. I think there's a lot of podcasts out there and a lot of information telling us about the things we need to be aware of, where it can go in a different way if it's in the wrong hands. But yeah, we're gonna see. And when we listen to this interview in another 6 months, I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of different information that we can also take into consideration. But these are big core pieces that are, I want to reiterate, these are important pieces for your patients, the real people that are looking for you online. That's the exact journey that the patient's taking, looking at your reviews, your website, your social media. So you're not going to lose by paying more attention to all those pieces.
Rita, I love it. Are there any questions that we didn't ask today that you feel like you wanna speak on before we end this podcast?
I don't think so. I would just say, keep doing good, being a good person, doing what you need to do to take care of yourself so you can take care of your team and your patients, and that's going to come back to reward you.
I love it, Rita. Thank you so much for being here. If someone wanted to find you maybe on social media, this is we talked about on social media today, or if they want to send you an email, like what's the best way to contact you or reach out to you?
Yeah, you should be able to find me at Rita Zamora on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things. And you can find my website at ritazamora.com, or for social media services, look for us at connect90.com.
Awesome. We'll put all those things in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.